After being one of the many people who were disappointed in Sword and Shield, I kinda decided to take a break from the Pokemon franchise for a little while. I mean, I was never the type to shame others for enjoying the games or anything like that, but with there being like 80 games in my backlog as it is, I was just choosing to spend my time and money on other things until I felt like Game Freak was putting enough effort into the Pokemon franchise again. And, well, I think it's safe to say that all the complaining and roasting of Sword and Shield's finally paid off, because Pokemon Legends looks like it's the Pokemon game we've all been wanting for decades now. Or, you know, at least until the Nintendo Switch was a thing anyway. And like, yeah, sure, the Diamond and Pearl remakes are even less visually impressive than Sword and Shield were, but personally, I think if you just look at them as remasters instead of remakes, it's a lot easier to be optimistic. I mean, after all, they had the same visuals as Sword and Shield, and people were gonna complain anyway. So like, if you're not gonna go all out with them, then you might as well just copy and paste the DS games over to the Switch, update the textures and models and all that, and instead put all the extra effort into Legends. Because after all, the diehard fans buying Sword and Shield in record numbers kind of proves that there's always going to be an assload of people who are always going to be happy with the games regardless of the graphics. So if you're trying to please all the fans who've been wanting a big open-world Pokemon game ever since the 64 days, then it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put more effort into the Diamond and Pearl remakes than necessary. Obviously, there's going to be people who say that Game Freak should have spent more time on the Diamond and Pearl remake so that they'd look just as good as Pokemon Legends, and that they should spend more time on Legends to make it look as good as some of the other open-world games out there. Like, while that would be nice, I am trying to be realistic here, so I understand that the Pokemon Company making fewer games would result in them sacrificing hundreds of millions of dollars. So if they've just gotta put two Pokemon games out relatively close to each other, then I'd rather the Diamond and Pearl remakes get the same amount of effort that the diehard fans have already established that they're happy with, and instead put all the extra effort into Legends. After all, Pokemon's gonna get out of its comfort zone, then they really need to go all out in the first attempt so there's no regrets or anything like that should the game fail. I mean, I'd be shocked if the game didn't sell out the ass. In fact, I don't even think it's impossible that it won't end up being the best-selling game in the entire franchise after everything's all said and done. But should it somehow tank, though, then I think that only proved to Game Freak that they should have never listened to the fans all along. Again, seeing as how Sword and Shield already broke records, it's not like Game Freak had to get out of their comfort zone for Legends. You know what, I still think they realized that as great as Sword and Shield did sell, the numbers would have been even bigger if they didn't disappoint a good chunk of the fan base. Like I said, I didn't buy the games myself, but I also wasn't a dick about it to anyone who didn't think the national decks or the graphics were that big of a problem. At the end of the day, all I can really do is speak with my wallet and move on with my life, you know? But thankfully, though, Game Freak decided to take the complaints seriously and try something new with Legends, rather than arrogantly writing them off as the work of trolls who just want to be unhappy. Because for the most part, that really wasn't the case at all. And even if you're in the camp of people who love Sword and Shield and want the series to remain exactly as it is, it looks like they're still going to give us a new set of Pokemon games every couple of years. Sure, they might not try to reinvent the wheel or win any awards or anything like that, but since there's a lot of people out there who are going to buy them anyway, I don't really blame Game Freak for trying to please both sides. Because honestly, if Pokemon Legends were meant to replace the mainline games, then I think there'd be just as many angry people out there, if not more, especially from the competitive battle scene, which I actually used to be a part of back in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver days. But even though I decided to skip out on Sword and Shield, I'm going to go ahead and say right now that I'm happily going to buy Brilliant Diamond, even though I think the name's hilarious, and despite the fact that the graphics are even less visually impressive. For some reason, I actually kind of like the graphical style a little more than if they half-assed tried to make it look like it's taking advantage of the Switch's hardware. I don't know, I guess it just feels more honest to go for a charming style over an impressive one, not to mention the simplistic look's a lot more authentic for a DS remaster anyway. However, if they didn't immediately reveal Legends afterwards, then I definitely would have skipped out on the Diamond and Pearl remakes altogether, and I think that they knew a lot of other people probably would have as well. Don't you go leaving a dookie in the comments section though, because I'm not saying that Sword and Shield wasn't fun, I'm sure that it was, it's just that I think it could have easily been way better is all. And even though Legends is kind of being treated like an experimental spin-off, I don't really mind one bit and can respect Game Freak for trying to give everybody what they want. They're basically just kind of like, look guys, we know you want this, but there's also so many other people who want us to keep doing what we've been doing, so what we're gonna do is keep making these relatively simplistic mainline games that are guaranteed to sell out the ass every other year or so, but we'll also make something entirely different for you guys. And just, you know, stop being dicks when we do make mainline games all. For me, one of the biggest issues with Sword and Shield isn't necessarily the graphics or the national decks, it's more that I just got bored with the same formula being repeated over and over again. Much like pizza, Pokemon games are always going to be fun, but when there's already so many games out there that I'm trying to play as it is, it wasn't really hard for me to skip one pair of Pokemon games. I mean, I already said a long time ago that it's only a matter of time before Pokemon start being left out of games given how big the national dex was becoming. I just didn't think that it'd happen until we got a game that actually redid the animations from the ground up, which is why I personally won't have a problem if Legends is missing a few Pokemon here and there, and I'm pretty sure most others that understand it too. And I'd also be as bold as to claim that I don't give a monkey's nutsack if any new Pokemon are introduced in Legends. In fact, I'd actually prefer if there weren't. And yeah, the frame rate is a little rough in some areas, but I'm sure the game will look an ass hair better by the time it actually comes out. Who knows though, maybe it's naive of me to think that. As of right now, there's still a lot we don't know, but so far, I'm pretty friggin' excited for Pokemon Legends. I love how they make starters from different generations. I think seamless battles that take place where you stand as opposed to generic battle screens long overdue, and I really like the idea of being in a familiar region from a long time ago. I have no idea how futuristic Pokeballs work, but it's not supposed to be ancient or anything like that, I guess, and I mean, what else were they gonna do, you know? And sure, it is probably gonna have some flaws being the first shot at something so different for Pokemon, and it wouldn't even surprise me if the game gets delayed. But as long as trainer battles are still gonna be a thing, I'll be a happy full-grown man, even if they do change the mechanics up a little bit. All I know is that I'm optimistic that it's still gonna be great, and I'm really happy that Game Freak actually listened when they really could have just kept making billions doing whatever they wanted. But anyway, that's all for now though. If you liked this video, then you might like my video comparing Persona Qs 1 and 2 with each other as well, but if you'll excuse me, I gotta go let my dad back inside before he freezes to death. Later!
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.